Hello, my nerdlings. If you're new here, my name is Nikki. Welcome to my channel where we get nerdy, and today I want to discuss with you 2025 reading goals. So, I had, I think, 3 goals for this year. One was to participate in a buddy read. I did that. One was to read 48 books, so 4 books a month. Did that. And then the other one was to participate in 2 readathons. I had started out the year, I'm going to participate in the Merb was hosting it. It's a Pokemon readathon, like the equivalency. Pokemon, that's what she called it, Pokemon. Yep. I didn't do that. I didn't participate in Aurelium. I didn't participate in the plus size readathon. Nothing. I participated in a book club read, but that's it. Which is fine. Like, I'm not totally upset about it. I'm happy with how my reading went this year. I'm going to do a video where I go through like my spreadsheet of everything and break it down with you guys. It's just not going to be today. What I decided to do was I decided to take an idea from Leanne over at Literary Diversions and make myself a bingo reading challenge. So I have a bingo board that I'm going to follow throughout the year. Like, I'm still going to play Tabrinco, but I'm going to play Tabrinco, but I have this reading challenge of goals that I want to do because, I mean, I have a lot of owned books, but the owned books I do have, I haven't read a ton of them. Like, I've read a good chunk of them, but not a whole bunch. And this is a way to keep me more accountable and whatnot. So I've posted my book bingo over on Instagram, but I also printed it off because I'm a visual person. I am very much object permanence. If I don't see it, I forget about it. So I printed my reading challenge so I could tack it up on the outside of my bookshelf so I can see it. So this is it. Yay, nice and cute. I like the colors, honestly. But so first square, 60% of new purchases. So by December 31st of next year, I have to have read 60% of the books I brought in 2025. This will hopefully make me dial back on my purchases, because if I bring in a lot of books, I'm going to have to read a lot of books. So this will be like making me hold back, right? With that being said, my Christmas books will count for that square. So anything I get from Christmas and January 1st on goes for that square. Okay? And then next, 12 Kindle books. I have been participating in some Stuff Your Kindle days. I didn't realize how many Kindle books I had until I went and made a spreadsheet of all of them. And there's over 300 Kindle books. Blew my flippin' mind, needless to say, but I need to read 12. 1 a month, essentially, for the year. Then next, I have 30% of my nonfiction. I have, I think, 12 or 13 nonfiction books. I used to have a lot more, but I dialed back because it was things of, am I actually going to read this? That kind of thing. So I want to read 30% of my nonfiction, which doesn't sound like a lot. That's 4 books, right? But since I haven't picked up a nonfiction in almost a year, I think it's valid to have it at 30%. Like, that's not too high. It's not too unrealistic. The next square, we have 10 TBR vets. I have a feeling like I should have made that number a lot higher, considering I own over 500 books. But my TBR vets are anything that is from 2023 and older. Do I know exactly when I bought some of my books? No, but I do know exactly which ones have been on my shelves for a really long flippin' time. So we're going to start there and work our way. And then for the middle, we have 75 books total. This year, my goal was to read 48 books. 4 books a month, right? I surpassed that by a poop ton. But I don't want to give myself a number that is too unrealistic and then me feel like a failure at this time next year. So 75 books seems doable for me because I have almost doubled it this year. So 75 books. I can do that. Between TBR vets, new purchases, and all that stuff, 75 total books. But it's going to have the same rules as my color-in chart that I did this year, where manga, graphic novel, novellas, manhwa, anything short-ish, anything 200 pages and less, and then if it has illustrations like a graphic novel, manga, manhwa, that kind of thing, is a half a square. So that's that plan, right? And then the middle one is 4 classics or modern classics. I thought I had owned a lot more than I did, because I was making a spreadsheet earlier, and I own 6 classics / modern classics. I thought I owned a lot more, but I don't. But that's totally fine, because then that just makes me feel a little bit better about the goal, right? Because if I read 4, I have read over 50% of the classics / modern classics that I own. So next square, we have 40% manga / manhwa. I don't know how many I have. That's manga, manhwa, graphic novels. I should have put that in there. I have a bunch. I have almost all of Cells at Work. I have almost all of Cells at Work Code Black. I have Demon Slayer. I have Death Note. I have A Sign of Affection. I have Sweat and Soap. I have Heartstopper. I have a bunch, but I haven't read any of them. Like, I've read Sweat and Soap, some of it. I've read some of A Sign of Affection, but I've never finished them, and I want to get to 40% of them, like 40% of being read. And in order to get to 40%, I need to finish some series. Like, I don't have enough variety for that. So then I have 8 series tracker. So I just updated my series tracker for this year, and I have like 40 series going. 40. And 12 completed. Granted, some of the series I can't finish because the books aren't out. But of the ones that are finished, I want to get 8 done and out of the way. Just to give myself to feel like I'm making some sort of progress. And then lastly, 50% mass market paperbacks. I didn't realize how many mass market paperbacks I had accumulated through the time until my Rolly, TBR cart started to give out from the weight of my manga and mass markets. So they make up an entire bookshelf now. And I didn't realize how many of them I owned. And I feel like I can get through 50% of them really flippin' easy. It's just taking the time to dedicate to it, right? One of the mass market things I did was I started the Mercy Thompson series by Patricia Briggs, which that has 14 books in it. I don't even own all 14, but the fact that this series has 14 books, and if I want to get successful on my series tracker, that can knock 2 out of the way for me, right? In theory. It's just going to be a lot, right? I need to accept that, and I do, and I understand that these goals are to try and make me more successful. Because, like, I read a lot this year, but I don't feel like I really checked off that many wins because I didn't have specific enough goals. I started this year with wanting, broader goals so that I could hit them, but then, like, the broad goals that I did have weren't applicable, really. Like, yeah, I had a high number of reading, but 1 book club and 2 readathons, that should have been cake, and I felt like I failed on them. So I feel like I need to have these specific goals to be the most successful for myself. I can't talk today. So that's that. Those are my goals for next year. I'm super excited to, get into the new year, start somewhere fresh and new and all of that. So like the video if you did. Comment down below what are some of your reading goals for the next year, and hit subscribe if you want to see more. Until next time, you are loved and you are valid.